There shall be a scourging of the Lord, the earth shall be shaken. Pray that these days may be shortened. The end times will be only of the mind. A great spirit will come, they will descend upon the earth. This prediction was left to us in her lifetime by the world phenomenon Slava Sevryukova. She is perhaps the only clairvoyant in the world engaged in science. Although she only finished 4th grade, she was titled Professor in several world academies. Sevryukova mentally contacted both the living and the dead, as well as animals and plants. But this is only the tip of the iceberg. She could transport herself anywhere she wanted, whether it was to the past, the future, time, or space. Most likely Slava had an unlocked higher mind and had access to cosmic knowledge. In fact, the psychotronic microscope woman, as she was also called, made revolutionary discoveries that still baffle physicists today. Sevryukova, together with Associate Professor Ivo Lozensky, gave science a new model for the structure of the atom. What this phenomenal woman has said so far is 100% confirmed. This is regardless of whether we are talking about science, the past, or the future. That's why we're going to take a look at what she thinks the near future holds for us. We will seek the truth about is there extraterrestrial life, and what did two of the world's biggest phenomena talk about when they met. Before that though, we should let you know that Sevryukova's story has its dark side. She lived in a time when, before 9th of September 1944, the church persecuted those like her, and after the 9th of September, the government. Although she always had a smiling and friendly appearance, behind it was a soul-redeeming heavy karma. The prophetess led an extremely hard life filled with pain and suffering. But how did it all begin? It could be said that Sevryukova's gift preceded her. Back in the day, her grandmother was a witch doctor and herbalist, and her mother was a fortune teller. Slava, however, seems to elevate the hereditary gift to a whole new level. Many people think of her as a fortune teller, but it could be said that this is a misconception. She herself states, "I don't guess, I know." If you stay with us to the end, you will realize that these few words are perhaps the most crucial explanation of the possibilities of the phenomenon. Sevryukova was born on 5th of December 1902 in Nova Zagora. She herself described her family as middle class, and they were not infrequently subjected to privations. The hardships began in early childhood when all the men of the family were mobilized to the front, and she was left alone with her mother and grandmother. While the men scramble, the women of the family anxiously await a letter from them with news that all is well. Days pass and no letter comes. Then, just 10 years old, the little Slava reveals her gift. She says she saw the much-awaited correspondence dumped on their relative's table. And that's exactly how it turned out. Word quickly spread around the small town about the untutored child's abilities. Slava's parents began to worry about her being branded a witch and getting into trouble. However, things have changed over time. At the age of 16, Slava began volunteering at the local infirmary where injured soldiers were treated. A fateful decision that would determine the course of her entire life from here on. There, she meets Stepan, a White Guard soldier who is badly wounded, and she cares for him for a long time. The spark of love flares between them, and although 20 years older than her, Stepan Sevryukov takes 16-year-old Slava as his wife. This union draws the prophetess into a spiral of deprivation, adversity, poverty, sickness, and so on. Yet she does not for a moment grumble, on the contrary. More than once, she tells acquaintances that this is the karma of her previous incarnation, and that she will endure everything with dignity in order to purify herself for future incarnations. Few know, but she has endured much more than an ordinary person could. Her husband, who had a drinking problem, was very jealous. This led to constant tension. In addition, the couple often moved around the country until they finally settled in Sofia, later managing to build a small house in what is now the Ovcha Kupol district. As soon as she arrived in the capital, Slava started working in a tailoring shop, but she was constantly ill. She underwent 7 operations, and finally, peritonitis left her childless. She takes all this seemingly lightly, claiming that this is how she earned it, because between the 18th and 19th centuries, She was a Russian noblewoman living in St. Petersburg, much sought after by court circles for her divine gift of foretelling people's fates and futures. She had 3 children who she did not care for at all and were entrusted to the care of her governess. However, her greatest redemption was towards her coachman, who was madly in love with her, and she made fun of him daily, even whipping him with his whip in public in front of people. He was reborn in Stepan. Alcohol was the coachman's consolation for his beloved's treatment of him. Alcohol was Stepan's greatest weakness. In his new reincarnation, the haughty countess became the wife's maid. Slava herself says of this, "You may be forgiven, but I am not. It is given to me to grasp driving forces invisible to men. For this I will endure. I will break the last karmic bond with this soul. It will never, ever happen again." And she succeeds. She stays and cares devotedly until her last breath for her Stepan, her humiliated in the past coachman. She then receives an adoption from her spiritual master, who congratulates her for having patiently cleared her tormenting burden. He tells her that she will never meet that spirit in the flesh again. She is now purified and enriched. The colorful life of this phenomenal personality could be talked about for days, and it would be still not enough. Today, thanks to the then young and inquisitive esoteric writer Hristo Nanev, we have a wealth of recorded knowledge about Slava Sevryukova. In his very first timid encounter with the prophetess, she smilingly tells him that they have many meetings ahead of them, though he thought then that it was a one-off visit. Nanev is the author of the most comprehensive works related to the phenomenon, in which he gives us first-hand information. It is thanks to his book, Be in This World, but Not of This World, Slava Sevryukova's super phenomenon. We can witness the meeting between the world's 2 greatest phenomena. Aunt Slava and Baba Vanga meet. This meeting is filled with deep respect, but also with great trial between the 2 divinely gifted women. First, Vanga, perhaps as hostess, breaks the awkwardness of the first seconds of acquaintance and tells Slava that her late mother is there. She then tells her about other family members. Finally, as if probing, she asks her what she sees for her. Sevryukova, however, tells her that she is not looking and only answers specific questions. After a brief, so to speak, test, Vanga is so impressed with Slava that she tells her that she thinks she must register so she can help people. The author Nanev specifies that during that time the authorities fiercely persecuted and punished clairvoyance and healing. Even in the 60s, Vanga herself was scheduled to be sent to Beleni Island, that is, to a contraction camp. But then Lyudmila Zhivkova interceded for her and later even assisted her in obtaining a status for clairvoyance from the municipality of Petrich. The modest Sevryukova tactfully deflects the topic by stating that there are no conditions at home for this. Nanev also told us about another encounter he had with Aunt Slava, as he calls her. Dr. Dimitar Sirikov was also present there. They are in her living room searching for answers related to alien civilizations. Then the phenomenon is explained to them that these aliens we are focused on are actually the lowest, because there are much more advanced observers of us than them, who do not need such primitive machineries as flying saucers. The superior alien races can end up with us or in any corner of the universe without needing an aircraft. According to Sevryukova, it is not a problem for these beings to implant thoughts in us, yet they try not to interfere directly in our lives so as not to disturb our natural evolutionary course. Thanks to such records, we can today look into the legacy left by Sevryukova concerning our future. Other sources mention that it speaks of humanity's turning away from the material and increasingly towards the spiritual. This process will begin sometime around 2025, 2030. This may seem impossible to us today, but we must still consider the fact that this will be a slow and continuing process that is yet to begin in the years to come. It is interesting that the prophetess's predictions concerning future floods and the formation of new continents coincide with those of Peter Dunov. Do not think that the ground you walk on will be yours forever. The mountainous countries will suffer less. Many people in those not too distant times will willingly go to the afterlife. Those who live in the high places will survive. Regarding the USA, he says that its creation was allowed by the higher light because it will play an important role in the creation of the 6th race. From there, great minds will be scattered across the globe, but unfortunately, evil will slide from there. The Russia phenomenon says it will suffer from one of its current backers, China. I can see them gassing the Chinese. Siberia will be taken away from Russia. I see the industrious yellow men will swarm and swarm there like ants. But that time is far off yet. Russia, however, will never collapse. On the contrary, in the 21st century, it will regain its world power. The Slavs will never disappear from the face of the earth. They are destined to lead a spiritual mission in the coming destinies of the human race. Sevryukova recalls that she once received a message from a superior that shocked her. She was told that we were living in the end times, the last, because many people now inhabit the earth and there are no souls left beyond. More and more are incarnating in fleshly bodies to cleanse their karma, but the end is coming for that as well. That is what they are last for. There are years of epidemics, famines, pestilences, and disasters to come. What the elements fail to destroy from nature, the warriors will finish, but it will all be for the last time. After that, happier times will come, just as before dawn is darkest. For this, fear not. The cards are cast. Humanity will seemingly lose the game, but they will suddenly turn, with hope for the survivors. Because those people will be much more elevated. Only then will they live according to God's law. Remember, there is no total destruction. Temporary loss is part of the battle. But you'll find out what one of the world's most recognized prophetesses had to say about the last days, and when they will be by clicking on the video to the left of your screen.